It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
I feel like Bob McGowan. Did you guys ever watch Primetime Sports on Sportsnet when he would just sit there with his glasses on and be like, and the show would start and he would just be sitting there like looking in the sky. He didn't care who was with him. Could be like John Shannon sitting there and other executives and big end hockey people. And he'd be like, oh, I guess the show starts right now anyway.
Does he still do that?
No, they just, budget cuts.
Budget cuts.
Sportsnet. One of those. But hey, welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie. Big Daddy.
No.
What?
One guy, one goalie, and a model.
Oh.
Thanks, Cass.
I didn't know you considered yourself a model, Cass.
I was talking about Hernan.
Hernan on the other side as well of the camera. Happy New Year, you guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey, lovely. I'm sure you guys had a great New Year. What'd you guys do? Cass, I know you were carrying around a mini horse at some outdoor event.
Yeah, I tried. I tried to push it up a hill.
Well, smaller than you, so.
Well, height-wise.
Yeah.
It was girthy. It was a girthy mini horse.
We're already at it, hey?
It was wide. I don't know.
All right. But the kids had a good time.
Kids had a great
All
time.
right. Gager, what'd you get up to?
Oh, gosh. I actually, for the first, it got away from me a little bit on New Year's.
Really?
Yeah. We went to the keg with a bunch of friends and stuff, and the Oilers were playing, and for some reason, my beer glass just kept getting refilled.
Weird.
And we're really, really awful. And I felt like, I felt horrible the next day.
Wow.
Let's just put it that way.
So you had a very quiet New
And
Year's day.
one was really funny because I'm at a table with probably about 13 people, got kids there, and I see Dave Jameson at the bar.
Oh, JMO.
Yeah, and so no one knows him, but I do. So I see him going to the. Well, my friends don't. They know his voice. They don't know him.
Right.
But he walks past our table to go to the bathroom. So I jump up, put my arm around this guy, and go to the bathroom with him. And you should have seen the look on everyone's face at my table. What is Joaquin going to the bathroom with this old dude for? Like, and it just was like everyone was shocked. The whole table went silent, and it was pretty funny. But
I'm going to have to ask JMO about that. I'm sure he appreciated it.
we had fun in the bathroom.
Okay.
It's good.
It's good to be back. Absolutely. First of all, before we get into the meat of this program, we have to fix some things, and I blame myself for this. Cass couldn't make it for the gift exchange over Christmas, and so I stepped in. Gager, I got you some nice mittens, but I also happened to ruin Christmas on this podcast, and I'm very, very, very sorry. Every time it got brought up in tweet form, I was sad. I felt shame, and rightly so. But Cass, you're here to right a wrong.
Yeah, I'm here to redeem New Year's.
Please, let's.
Yeah. New Year, new start. So, Gager, you know it's from me, but here's your actual present.
Thank you.
And I actually forgot one little part of it at home, but it's not the necessary part.
Oh, look at this.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, I got some body butter, some strawberry body butter.
Can I justify this for a second?
Can we show the people?
We know. So that is because you're always getting in trouble for the stories you tell. So that is not really for you. That's for you to re-gift was the whole purpose.
Oh.
Nice.
So next time you do something stupid, you can take that and you can say, "Here, sweetie,
give it to her later today." Then.
Yeah, here's some body butter. Look what I did for you.
Wow, thanks, Cass.
Was Mrs. Gager at the keg too that night?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She.
Did you have a talk yesterday, or was it all good?
No, she didn't really. I hit it well on the first.
Okay.
I had to excuse myself a few times just to get things done. What is this, Cass?
It's a card game called Disturbed Friends because I figured you fit into that category.
Jesus, this is great. Coarse language, explicit content. Nice.
Right up your alley.
Complete satire based on, and all you may lose all your friends. Oh, lose all my friends from playing it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
That's good. I
Thank you.
actually didn't know if you were a game guy, but I was like,
You know what? I always wanted to play that Cards Against Humanity.
This is kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh,
Good job, you guys.
Yeah.
yours is under there.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I didn't get to open.
Do we need to remind people? Hernandez?
hold on. Hernan's gonna
He's going to bring it over.
bring it over.
Thanks,
here.
Hernan.
This is
Yeah.
with the
Pass it on.
with the game motif as well. You
There
know.
you go. Like I opened it for you, Cass, and I
I
think
skipped that part. Oh,
See,
that's a good bottle ring toss.
See, this is what you were talking to you about your wife. There's a game that you guys play with
Yeah.
the ring toss, and you were off the sauce. So I thought 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is good because this is one you can do indoors too because it's small.
Yeah.
you don't have to be
Well,
outside.
if, you
can
got-
do it anytime.
I didn't know this, but you're gonna have. I should have got you a bigger set with your growing family right now.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Cass is about to have another girl.
Oh, you got a couple
you didn't even
months
tell
yet.
me about that.
I've told everybody about that.
Except
tell
for
us.
me.
You didn't
We're on
tell
the
me.
same show together, and you haven't told me.
I've told you guys.
My goodness.
I just
No.
assume everybody knows.
No.
Congrats.
It's probably because my 4-year-old, the first thing that she tells anyone when she meets him, she's like, "My mom's got a baby in her tummy." So I
Wow.
just kind of assumed
Wow.
everybody knew.
It's a Festivus miracle, everybody.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I love it. Quickly, guys, the Christmas season was always great, but anything in particular you guys admired most about Christmas 2019? Gifts,
What?
time with family.
Admired- I mean, I always liked time with family. We were sick for a lot of it.
Yeah, I remember you
So
saying.
that, yeah, it's been a little bit of a recovery time. But it's good to see family.
Yeah.
It's good to see family and spend time with them.
Gage, did you get anything sweet?
Yeah. As you get older and with kids, the gifts you get are understated, but I think the meaning. There's a lot more meaning. Like I got these sweet 3-pack of Marvel Black Panther underwear. So I'm
Are you wearing them right now?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
chasing my wife around, Wakanda forever, and well, Wakanda only lasts about 2-3 minutes, but I love them. It's great. It's great. So
What
and
a
then-
thrill.
And then oh god, I messed up big time.
That's why.
But I bought my wife a car starter for
Nice.
for her birth or for Christmas there, and I wanted to make it a surprise, right? So my son works out at Rabbit Hill Ski Resort. I took her car, I took it into Visions, had them install it.
Excellent.
Yeah, so and had them hide the sensor, and I was going to have her unwrap the gifts and see the keys there. But I came to the house. She was pulling up at the same time. I had the box in the front seat. My daughter was coming, and I panicked to try to hide this gift. And so my wife knows when I'm not telling the truth. and my daughter's going, "What's going on? What do you got?" And I'm like, "No." And she was starting to come in the car, and I had to leave the keys with them. But there was a little tag on there. It said Gage, and I forgot to put it back on the keychain. So I was completely flustered. Sorry, cat's out of the bag. I thought I'd get your car detailed for Christmas. Just the worst gift ever.
And it's
but
not
they were
detailed. Was it
yeah,
detailed
it
on the
wasn't
inside?
detailed. I go, I was waiting there for 2 hours, but you were too far behind. I had to get back home, so I got to go do it later. Sorry, but then Cat was out of the bag,
Yeah.
and she knew I was lying and thought I was up to no good in the afternoon, and I probably had some beers or something, so it smelled like beer or something like that. But yeah, no, it was it worked out well though.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, no, she's got it's a pretty sweet car starter because she works at the post office, and now she can start a car from far away. It's pretty good.
It's clutch. Cass, did you get anything sweet?
I got a couple new pairs of, to stick with the underwear theme, but
Yeah?
workout on like expanded compression shorts.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
for
yeah.
working out because my old ones I'd had for a long time, and they're like getting holes in them. And so it's like if my shorts rolled up, if I was doing a sit up or something, you might
Catch a peek of
catch a
something.
peek or something. So
Side ballage.
Did you just have a ton of stuff left over from when you were
I
playing?
had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it eventually wears out.
Yeah, it does. But the free stuff is always sweet. Did you guys always like load up on the free gear?
I liked to, but more when I was younger, because you
Right.
can't roll back home with your Oilers logoed stuff or
Yeah.
whatever team you were with, and you looked so professional. But men with their underwear, will wear it till it's basically disintegrates, right? So, we that stuff's all gone. But I always liked the new stuff.
Yeah,
That was great.
That was one of the few perks about working for the team is like you'd always get the free gear, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
well,
all right.
you take it for granted too, because remember we went up to Cold Lake. We got those nice tracksuits. Oh, you didn't go to that one? Yeah, we went up to Cold Lake, and we got some sweet tracksuits.
Yeah.
I remember rolling into my local liquor store, and I felt like a big shot with this Oilers jacket, and the guy behind the counter goes, "Hey, that looks expensive." And how do you get those? I go, "You got to play with the team." And I walked out. He never believed me.
Cass, let me ask you this. That Gage brings that up because you guys do appearances and stuff, but Cass, you never played for the Oilers, but you take part in like the alumni skates and everything, and you kind of part of the alumni. What's that feel like to be not necessarily, you were a former NHLer obviously, but part of the Oilers alumni family?
They do a pretty good job of bringing everybody in.
Yeah.
I've always appreciated that. I still tell my wife, like, when we do the alumni skates, it feels a little bit like you're coming home.
Right.
Like you walk in and it's like family, very dysfunctional family, but it's family. A lot of people who've had the similar experiences, and some of it across generations. I mean, you have guys that have been retired for 20 years. You have guys that have been retired for 3 years.
40 years, like Doug Hicks, he still goes out there.
Yeah, Hicks, he's still out there running around. So it's been, they've done, I will say they've done a wonderful job of being very, very welcoming. And not just for me, but for other players as well that maybe didn't play for Edmonton, but ended up here. I mean, if you think about it, I can't remember what the number is now, but last time I saw it was like 7,862 or something.
Wow.
People have ever played one game in the NHL. And that's it. Like it's extremely
in the
small
world.
in the world ever. And it should be a little bit higher than that now, but that number's not going up by a lot. Like if you have 3 new guys that play their first NHL game a year, you know, you have still less than 100 or around 100. So yeah, it's a pretty small group of people, and the Oilers alumni here in the city do a great job of welcoming people in, and I appreciate that.
That's the one thing I will give them credit for is, especially when I started with them 10 years ago now, the alumni, like, it was non-existent pretty much. And then over the last few years, I think especially when Bob Nicholson came in, they've really welcomed in the alumni. They have the room. I'm sure you guys take part in the alumni room during games too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Free.
My favorite price.
But they have like a smattering of beverages and finger foods, I would imagine.
Yeah, a couple of wings and things in there.
Wings and things. I like it. Any New Year's resolutions, boys, before we get into the heart of this thing?
I don't think so. I've been pretty good so far. There's some things I have to work on. Just personal. Be better. You know.
Okay.
I can always be a little bit better.
Okay.
You know.
So New Year's is just kind of a reminder, basically.
Yeah. Try to work out it. Don't have the big lulls in the exercise department. Like usually around this time, you put on the 10, 12 pounds over Christmas, and
it happens.
You say you get back into the gym and you start feeling good about yourself, and then by middle of February, maybe you go, oh, not today, maybe I'll do it tomorrow, and all of a sudden it's July, and I can't fit into the Mitch Buchanans anymore.
By the way, Dusty's watching. He just said, "Looking good, boys," on the good old Facebook.
Yeah,
so.
One guy, one goalie, one model.
Yeah, Big Daddy Davos. Good to step in for him. Good job, Dusty, by the way.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Absolutely.
Almost too good.
Whoa. There's no such thing.
Well, I think he's got to tone it down a little bit. Like, we want to keep doing this podcast, right?
Well,
jeez.
yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
He's
You guys really like him, huh?
yeah, he's good. I hate when he's there because I got to take part of that Spengler Cup.
You did.
Year. Yeah, and it's fantastic. Oh,
How would you describe the tournament? Because if you're a player, it looks like it's a great party. I knew a bunch of people that went over there, and the party Instagram stories I saw were amazing. And then the arena is another thing. And then if you're a player, how do you keep it on the rails, basically?
There were a few that went completely off the rails. I don't think a couple guys on our team didn't sleep at all, I don't think. But, no, you want to do well there.
Sure.
You know, like, of course, I couldn't take part in the late night festivities like some of the guys on our team did. But it was just so much fun. It's a perfect spot. You can't believe where you are in the actual world, and people are there to watch hockey, and it's an event like no other. It's a bucket list thing for sure to go and watch.
Gage, how about when they get that team together? Because it's an invite-only tournament, and when you put together a Team Canada, and this is guys that aren't playing in the NHL, how does that team come together and try to make a run like it did again this year? Usually
it's there are other tournaments throughout the season. So you'll have the Swedish games, the Karjala Cup in Finland,
right.
The Oldest Vestia the Baltica Cup in Russia. So a lot of times these guys will get together a few times throughout their playing season. It's not always the same guys, but the Spengler, like if you look at those rosters now from the rosters that were there, they allow you to pick up, I think, an extra 3 guys. So some of those guys don't even play on that team, but everyone's allowed like 3 ringers to come in and boost their lineup a little bit. So it's kind of an all-star game with your team. But yeah, I was lucky when I played in it because that was the last year that Team Canada actually had a full-time men's team.
The national team, right?
So I was with that team the whole year. We picked up Dave McIlwain, Todd Ellick, Paul DiPietro. What a beauty he was. That's what we rolled with at this Penguin.
I love watching that tournament.
Yeah,
it's fun. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Just the environment the environment's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it, like, it looks great on TV, but it doesn't do it justice. It'll blow your mind when you first walk into the rink. You'll see this big, huge aerial photograph of where you are, like you are here,
right?
And you're just completely covered by mountains. Like it's
That's
just
so
like,
cool.
Yeah, really neat.
That arena was that arena built when you played?
Yeah. That's been there
Davos
forever. Yeah.
Beautiful. On the rundown, Star Wars review, boys.
Ooh.
Did we see it? Oh, Cass.
Oh.
Okay, he's ready. He's
Okay.
ready.
Oh my God.
And I think we've given enough
have
time.
time?
We've given enough time for people that have it, right?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
you gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're past. No spoiler alert.
I'm gonna keep it.
You
I'm
need
gonna
to
keep it brief.
Well, that big breathe in and gasp and sigh of I don't know what exasperation.
Yeah, you don't have to tell like what
No,
really
I won't
happened.
do details.
but
I
you
actually
can-
won't spoiler.
Yeah.
But
I will say
what bothers you? Because I can tell you're put off
they
right
tried
now.
to fix it. It doesn't. What bothered me was still the last movie,
Really?
and that led into this one where all of a sudden you had a guy that J.J. Abrams. I think from a director standpoint, he should have been a guy directing it. I don't think he should have been the guy writing it.
Oh.
It ended up, to me, it came across as being like a Michael Bay movie.
You thought so?
Yeah, where it's just very disjointed, a lot of different things. And I understand there was a lot for him to work with, and he basically had to try to completely redeem the last movie.
Right.
Because the last movie messed up with his first movie. So it was like you're trying to fix a lot of things, and then you had to do some weird things to fix those things. And I'm not going to spoil it with that. But it was okay for what he had to work with. J.J. Abrams did an okay job. But overall, it's still it makes me sad because the first new movie, like The Force Awakens, was great.
I liked it, yeah. I liked all of them, actually.
Well, the last one was horrible.
One or two things that really put you off about the last one.
Like the newest one?
Yeah.
Inventing new force powers all of a sudden.
The healing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care
and
for
that's
that.
like if you've ever, the video games or the books or anything, like there's not really any of that.
Right.
It's kind of brand new. So just inventing that out of nowhere. And then I think from a character development standpoint, you just things weren't fleshed out enough between some of the characters, and even with Rey, like where the love interest between her and like I know where like the connection was tried to
with Finn?
with Rey and with
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren
Yeah.
and
Benjamin Solo.
where they just I don't know. They leaned on some things, and it wasn't fleshed out enough for me.
But like, what did Finn have to tell Rey and never had a chance to? I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
It was
well,
like, where's
exactly.
that going?
That's where disjointed. Like, what do you mean you didn't have a chance to tell her what? And they never resolved. Like, no resolution to that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like a Michael Bay
Wow.
movie. That's what I thought.
Wow, that's not a compliment.
Well, it was like big, flashy, good action,
Yeah.
like a lot going on, but the story was kind of like
How many stars, Cass, in your opinion?
out of what? 5?
5.
3 maybe.
Okay.
I
Gager?
think, was it the greatest Star Wars movie? No, but I'm such a fan. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. It tried to tie up a lot of loose ends. Don't you think we're a little bit, with the success of all those Marvel movies and the ability to be able to create a story like that, I think we're a little bit spoilt now with some of those superhero kind of sci-fi genre shows that they only have 3 movies to do it and a total of 9 hours instead of 36 hours
Right.
of movies with these Marvel shows. I hope that going forward, just with Disney Plus and all these things, they can actually set up a proper storyline. So when you do go to the movie, it will answer some of those questions and not just leave us with more questions. Really,
Right.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm easy to please, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I don't read the canon. I'm like, okay, I understand it. And I was like how they wrapped it up into a neat little bow. I don't care for any more Star Wars movies. If it ends there, I'm okay with it. It's too bad that Carrie Fisher died and they couldn't really flesh out her character. But the one kind of part of it is Luke Skywalker's role. I wish there was more of him.
Well,
he's the
focus of the first three, and then you completely like I get not having him in the first new one, really, like being overall like they're looking for him,
right? And
then it's just like, and then there's even parts in this where he just all of a sudden he's this old grumpy guy that can't do anything, and then he kind of does it, and then he disappears, and you're like, well, what the heck? And then they try to force him into this one as well, where I'm like, well, you could have tied it in so much better, and. Even in this newest one, there's a scene where he Ghost Luke admonishes Rey for throwing away a lightsaber.
His lightsaber,
and it's like he did that in the last movie.
Right.
Like there was no character continuation even from the original ones. Like it seemed like his character completely changed, and the formula changed, and it just.
That's the one.
We can talk about this for now.
I know. That's the one part I was like, I wish they did something with Luke Skywalker a little bit better than the way they did it, but so be it. That is, the surprise Harrison Ford cameo was good.
That was good.
Yeah, it was
Spoiler.
Good. Yeah.
That's okay.
That was good.
You'll tear up when you see it if you haven't seen the movie yet.
Now, The Mandalorian finished, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
was good.
I heard it was really good.
That
was good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm way more excited for Star Wars to go in that direction, to tell you the truth. A little less force and a lot more like that old Western sci-fi storyline. That's great.
But it had this Star Wars feel to it.
Yeah.
Did it not? Because that's what it was. It was cowboys in space. I mean, that was Star Wars, right? So you kind of had the same feeling to it, and I like that.
I really like that.
Pedro Pascal, outstanding.
Oh, awesome.
Narcos, he was great. He was great in Game of Thrones. He's an excellent actor.
Like him.
Who is he in Narcos?
He's the other cop.
Yeah, Javier.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
he's good. He's good. All right. On New Year's Eve, I know, Cass, you were pushing a horse up a hill.
Mini horse.
A
And
girthy mini horse?
Gager, you and Dave Jameson were going to the bathroom at the keg together, crushing beers. But there was an Oiler game that night. I got there after our pregame show. I was filling in for Schauger on the TV side for TSN for postgame. And, the Oilers were cruising. Had built up a 6-0 lead on the Rangers. I thought the best part of the day until that third period was Alexander Georgiev blowing up his stick and then not getting pulled until the following TV timeout, which I thought was bizarre. But the Oilers almost became the first team to ever blow a 6-goal lead in 102 years of the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Because I was about 5 beers deep when it was
that period
when the stuff was hitting the fan there, and I was thoroughly entertained. I think at one point I did stand up like a gladiator, and because people were booing, and I was, "Are you not entertained?" in the keg. So
were you wearing your Oilers alumni thing?
No. I was looking good, but not that good.
Oh baby! But how alarming is that though when you have such a commanding lead? I don't think I've ever witnessed I haven't witnessed anything like that covering this team for the last 13 years. And then I'm watching Artemi Panarin look like Connor McDavid.
It was bad. They just fell apart. The brains went to, what are we doing tonight?
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly where it went. Was like they went from, okay, we have a lead. We just kind of got to show up. And where are we going tonight? It's New Year's.
Yeah.
Well, they had to fly out yesterday morning too. So how
that wouldn't stop?
No, that's true. There's probably a few guys napping on that flight.
Yeah.
The thing is, in those situations where it's there's probably something going on, like you try to push that to the back burner so hard. And I remember thinking, oh, we got some days off here where we got the green light from the coach and stuff like that, and you go, okay, well, we gotta play well. We gotta have a great game here, and then things just start going so well for you, and of course, it probably creeps into, it's New Year's.
Yeah, you've got 6-1 lead going into the third.
Gosh, this is gonna be so much
fun.
By
5 goals, we're gonna feel great. Everyone's gonna be happy. It's gonna be awesome.
As a goalie, I've played in those games where you're up by a few and the other team starts coming back. Oh, it's it's awful. It's really scary. Everything puckers up a little bit.
Here's a question: do you guys think Tippett waited too long to call his timeout?
I was wondering when he was going to do that.
I thought he was going to do it right before he did it, kind of like just to try to stop, maybe a few minutes before. It seemed kind of late. Once they were rolling too much at that point, he should have done it way before, I think.
Even with the timeout, or when you take it, Todd McClellan, by the way, always was precarious with his timeouts, and you'd be like, why did you do it then, or why didn't you take it? So yeah, that did kind of alarm me somewhat, but once the momentum is going, and now in a game where there's TV timeouts every period, and guys are used to these prolonged breaks, can a timeout stop momentum? You guys played in the league. Like, when you can feel that momentum going against you, like, how do you even try to stop it?
I think it works. I think timeouts can work.
Yeah.
I think it can calm you down, right? It's just because if the momentum's going, it breaks it up. And TV timeouts can have the same effect. I think they can do the same thing.
Right.
That's why they don't have TV timeouts right after a goal, because they don't want to bust up the momentum. You have a timeout. You have a chance to talk, for the coaches to say, calm down, guys, we're fine. Like, goalie has this, we got this, just reset, we're okay. Like, they're going to push, we have to know it's coming, like, settle down, we're good. And if you don't have that time, then sometimes you could just kind of get steamrolled in your own brain. So it's an opportunity inside of a game to take a timeout.
Right. Pause a little bit. What's it like for a goalie, Gager? When you know these pucks, whatever you're trying to do to stop them, they still find a way in.
That's a little bit of a different situation, just because the amount of goals that they had. Like, I
know.
I think I needed a 6-1 lead half the time to pull out the victory. So, but the fans are all groaning, and it's a combination of things that are probably going to affect you, and the way the team's playing. Everyone's going to be gripping the sticks way harder, and
right.
And they let their foot off the gas, and once you do it, it's so hard to get that back. Like, they were just on their heels the rest of the time.
Yamamoto out there in the last minute and a bit. What does that say to you guys that Tippett throws a guy that's making his season debut with the club, and he was just called up? Like, what does that tell you about maybe Kyler Yamamoto, or what does that tell you about Dave Tippett, or does it say something about the rest of the roster?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I think it seems like Tip goes with the guys that are working, working for him. And he probably saw something from Kyler's game from before that he you know what, I feel comfortable putting him in this situation. And it great coaching move, paid off, scored the goal. Probably had a really good night.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? I think Kyler Yamamoto is a really smart player. We talked about that
on the pregame, yeah.
What held him back previously was physicality. Mm-hmm. He's a smaller guy, has to learn how to play the NHL game against guys that are really big and really strong, but he plays extremely smart. Not once in any of the games that I can think of did I really question myself, where is he going, like, on the ice? Like, he's grossly out of position, or what was he thinking on that play? He really makes good decisions from a positional standpoint with where to be on the ice, defensively and offensively. I think he's a really good two-way player. And then you have Tippett that doesn't have trust in a lot of the other guys. I think right now there's some reasonably so. There's some trust issues right now. So a young guy that was playing a good game that's really smart positionally, that you're not worried about physicality, I think, in that moment. You're not worried about him getting run over or losing a battle in the offensive zone in front of the net. Like, you're kind of like, well, you want a skill guy, he's going to clear pucks, and he's going to make the right decision. So I'm not overly surprised that he was out there.
You watch him play, like, he puts himself in such a good position defensively. Like, he knows he's not going to overpower a big guy physically.
Sure.
But his angles, the way he puts himself where the guy can't go, and puts himself in a position where he can stop that guy from coming to the net, like limiting his options, making him go into a place where makes maybe the other person with the puck be uncomfortable and just makes it way more easier on himself. Whereas you see some guys will run right in there and get bounced right off, quick move, and it's to the net, right? So he's very, he's had to make those kinds of adjustments, probably just with his size his whole life. So it's nothing really new to him. But I know I was in a haze that night, but I was quite.
You were watching.
I was watching, and
you have a refined eye for the game.
It was. I was impressed. Good for him. I mean, couple year and a half in the minors, and probably it was really tough on him, especially when you're up at the start and of your career,
2
and
years in a row,
and
too.
you get sent down. It's tough, man. And for to keep the nose to the grindstone. I know when I went down, I was poopy pants for a while, and I have a lot of respect for him.
He's playing with Yamamoto with Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Draisaitl down the middle tonight in Buffalo. Let me ask you guys this. After that win, which snapped a 2-game losing streak for the Oilers, gets them off the schneid. That's a win at home as well. They were 2-6-2 at home in their last 10 going into that game. Bad stretch, bad December, 5-8-1 overall. How are you liking this team's play going into this 5-game trip? 4 of those games, 3 of them out east, 2 in the Western Conference against Chicago and Calgary to wrap things up. But what do you make of this team right now going into what is a pretty important trip? Starts in Buffalo tonight, by the way.
Go ahead, Gager.
Yeah, well, they're off the rails. They need to get some their game back for sure. I'm not too worried about it, really. I think it's good to, like I've said it before, I think it's really good to have some time of the year when you do face a lot of adversity. Hopefully, throughout this trip, they can find a way to not limit, but just maybe more distribute the ice time evenly throughout the lineup. Hopefully, everyone starts playing a good, hard team game. I know we were talking about the Carolina Hurricanes a few episodes ago, and just how every line, it doesn't matter which one you're facing, it seems like always the same thing. Like they're just big, fast, physical.
Yeah.
Like the Oilers need to find an identity that not just we have Connor and then we'll wait to see what he does and hope for the best with everyone else. I'd like to see more consistent play from throughout their whole lineup, and especially the goaltending. Mikko's got to start getting back to where he was at the beginning of the year if they have any hope of staying where they're at and making the playoffs.
Now, Gager, let me ask you this. You brought up the goaltending thing. They're going to Mike Smith tonight. What do you make of that? Like, how does this guy try to find his game back? Because for a while, even on the pregame showcast, you and I were talking about, he gave him a chance, and then he wasn't getting run support. And then it seems like in the last few weeks when he has gotten in there, his game hasn't been nearly as good as what it was earlier. How does a guy try to find his game in an important, tough time like it is right now?
I'm sure he does a lot of stuff in practice, working on his game and doing certain things, but it's gotten to the time and the point where you throw kind of all that stuff out the window and just say, I'm just going to go play hockey. And I'm going to and just battle through. I mean, when the puck's when you're not stopping it, the puck just seems so small. It's like a rubber bouncy ball for rebounds, and he just needs to get out there, make the first save, and have a good I know we always say this, like just one period at a time and things like that, but just one save at a time, stop the next one, and start feeling more and more comfortable. That's what I would always try to do if things weren't going my way for a while, is just, it was funny, once I had that good first period, and maybe especially on the road, a little bit easier, right? Maybe first 10 minutes, it gets you right in the game. The other team's usually all over you. You make maybe take a couple goals away from the other team, and just get back on track that way. Because he's got the experience. He's an older guy, but one save at a time, I think, for Mike Smith.
Cass, Buffalo, Boston, Toronto, Chicago, Calgary. On this trip, what do you think is reasonable for this Oilers team?
On the road,
where they've been better than they have been.
They've been better on the road.
Yeah.
Pretty tough games, though.
Boston's going to be tough. Toronto's rolling again.
Toronto's playing well, and I don't know how well Edmonton matches up against Toronto.
Yeah. Not well when they were here a few weeks ago.
Well, Toronto's just got too much offensive punch.
Right. And they're Keefe is just letting them run, too.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is for them.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Not for Edmonton. You know what's reasonable, or what do I expect?
Both, if you want, or you tie them into one little package.
I'm reasonable. You're going on for where the Oilers are. They need to go 3-2.
Okay.
Next 5. Yeah. They need to go 3-2. At least 3-2. I mean, ideally, you're going 4-1-1,
and winning that Calgary game more importantly too.
Yeah, Calgary game's the biggest one.
Yeah.
But if you could go 3-1-1, I mean, that's 3-1-1 is fantastic. 3-2 is like you have to get that. Anything less than that is going to be disappointing for this group. Going to be tough teams too. Like Chicago's playing lots better recently. So that's going to be a challenge. Like there's going to be, it's going to be a grind.
It's tough. It's a tough stretch. It really is. Looking around the league, Tampa all of a sudden has awoken after its slumber, and John Cooper's name was being floated out there as a coach that might be let go. And I go, rationally, I see those rumors, and you're going to hear them if things aren't going well, especially with a team that's that stacked and loaded. But you go at the same time, it's like, okay, hang on a second. Why would you get rid of a coach that has taken you to a Stanley Cup final, the best record ever in a regular season, the most wins the year before? I know they got swept by Columbus last year. I get that. But, why would you even consider it until you give them the rest of the season to figure it out? And they're figuring it out now. They've won 4 straight. They're in 3rd in their division now. Are they back, baby?
I think they are. We've been waiting for this
We expected it
all year. It's kind of years. So
40 games.
I mean, that's got to be tough, especially over the past few years. I think we talked about it before. Just having the huge season, the first round exit, and the knowing how hard they worked and how long it takes to get back to the playoffs. I think we were saying that was one team that wanted at least a 30-game regular season this year, right, just so they could get to where they want to be. And fatigue, that's a lot of hockey, a lot of games that they've played, gone far in the playoffs. Maybe they knew it was a regular season. Maybe they just they know what it takes when you get to the playoffs. Maybe they were just holding back a little bit. But you'll see the NHL tightens up so much in the next few months. You see everyone, the games they're faster, checking's tighter. It's getting towards that time when everything really matters to make those playoffs.
Cass, are they just ascending now?
They're just finally starting to play better.
Yeah,
they're playing horrible for them.
Right. Vasilevsky wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't near as good as he was last year.
You had a lot of guys like Kucherov wasn't very good. A lot of guys just weren't. Point, I don't think, was great.
Right.
Just finally starting to get some momentum going for some of these guys. Because if you look at their lineup, they're still pretty stacked.
They are, absolutely. They're all-stars.
They're a really, really good team. So it's not surprising. Will they climb to the top of the division? To me, is a big question. Do they have enough? I would almost view them, if we're going to look at someone and say, okay, they're kind of like St. Louis. That would be it.
Mm-hmm.
The Tampa Bay, where everyone had really high expectations. They didn't perform the first half of the year, and then they're going to just push the second half and be a really, really strong team. Wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. John Tortorella. I don't agree with this man very often. What he did this week was the second time, surprisingly, this season where I was like, wow, Torts, I agree with you. The first thing he said that I really liked was eliminate the shootout from overtime, go 10 minutes or unlimited 3-on-3 OT until someone scores. I was like, that's great, because I think it's the shootout is the skills competition, as people call it. I'm like, I would rather see games settled with the 3-on-3. I think it's fast, exciting. The back and forth is great. So Tortorella, I gave him arrow up, thumbs up on that one. And then the other day, he just rips into the officials. And as we've seen in Oiler games and any other game out of market, as I tell our listeners on the post-game show when they're mad at the officials, the officiating, in my opinion, this year, last year, has been bad. Every game, you're like 2 or 3 times per game, it's automatic. You're like, what was that call and why? And he laid into them because essentially he lost his starting goalie in Korpisalo, got injured on the first shootout attempt by Jonathan Taves. Great goal, but Korpisalo pulls something, he's out. And then on top of that, they thought they scored. Werenski thought he scored in the dying seconds, literally the dying seconds of the overtime. And that was after the clock was run down for no reason. And they went to the game officials and you're supposed to put another second back up there, and they didn't. So he had a double whammy. And then he just goes on a 45-second rant about how poorly the officiating was, the game officials to the refs on the ice, everything. And I was like, yeah, okay, I think that was due. Somebody needed to say something. Are you guys in agreement, or do you think that the officiating is A-okay?
Well,
go ahead.
I just don't understand from an officiating standpoint, from you have people reviewing this standpoint that will look at it.
Right.
How can you get that wrong? From a clock, one, and not just if it was a 1/10 of a second, you go okay,
Even a tenth of a second would have given them
them
goal.
enough.
Yeah.
I know, but if they were like a tenth of a second off, you go like, okay, I get
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
But like being
full
over
second.
a full second,
Yeah.
like one steamboat, that's a significant amount of time. And they probably looked at it and went, meh,
Yeah.
meh.
Unreal.
But how do you do that? How do you do that? That's honestly, you know what I think is going to happen with officiating? What we're going to eventually see is we're going to see less officials on the ice, and we're going to see like
Good.
robo officiating.
You think?
How do we get there though? Like,
Well, from a video standpoint, you'll still have one or two on the ice.
okay,
But you're gonna have people that are watching on video and they're different camera angles, and they're gonna be calling the penalties and communicating down with someone that has an earpiece in.
do the 4 guys get in the way when you're a player out there?
Sometimes it creates more space. My grandpa's got a gold medal playing world championship hockey, so he's been around for a long time, and he has said that to me for years. Often, he's been like, they need to get the officials off the ice, or less officials on the ice. Because they take up space. They force you around them. You always have to be aware of them. And they do. There's a lot of them that do a really good job of communicating, so you know where they are on the ice. But the reality is they're out there visually. It's an extra body out there, so your brain has to process that that's an official, not a player. Where are they? Where are they going to go? What do I have to do because of that? So I could see them going more robo eventually. However, overall, I don't think the officiating has been very good this season either.
I agree.
It's been pretty bad.
Gager.
Yeah, I don't think you require linesmen that much anymore with camera angles and stuff like that. You could do that remotely. Yeah, the refs, I think 2 refs on the ice calling penalties would be better. But maybe put the linesmen in those cable things going across the up above. Just get them off the ice completely, because I don't think everyone knows if it's icing. You can almost do it from the stands. So all the stuff. Yeah. So
you can.
Right.
I think a linesman's duties doesn't require him to be actually on the ice.
Who's gonna break up all the fights that don't happen anymore?
Oh, well. Yeah, well, maybe we just use the girls that sweep the... They'll stop a fight for sure.
Yeah, they would.
They go in
the
there.
cleaning crew, the ice crew.
Yeah, the ice crew.
The
Just
ice
get
crew.
them out there.
And speaking of that, is this the decade that we see fighting in hockey and the NHL specifically come to an end?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah. Oh, they're how can they not at this point?
It's disappointing. As a fan of the game, I think it's really disappointing.
I mean, we're going to talk about the World Juniors, I think, here in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But do you watch the Canada-Russia game?
Some of it, yeah.
Like, how many cross-checks and slashes
Yeah.
and spears and everything? Like, it's getting chippier and chippier
And
chippier.
that's why. Is because nobody's afraid to do stupid little things out there. There's no repercussion.
Yeah, you're not necessarily breaking a guy's ankle, but you give it a nice little bruise on the back of his leg and his calf. He's not going to be able to skate as well, and you may not get called. You don't have to wind up a baseball swing to do it.
No.
It's little chops on the wrist, the hands. Yeah.
God, I went for lunch with my son, and there was a game on at the restaurant. It was an old Oilers-Pittsburgh game on, and oh my gosh, the hacking and the punches to the face and fighting. There was a lot of... The game was so different, and they say that was the high-flying era of hockey, and there was 10 penalties every shift. It was a totally different way to play. But certain guys knew that if they went too far, Dave Brown was jumping over and settling things, right? So there was definitely more accountability back then. It looked scary.
It's swung from one end of the spectrum completely to the other. But now it's the one thing that alarms me, I've brought it up on our showcast a couple of times, is how guys now get into skirmishes, okay, let's call them that, or engage a fellow player after the whistle, and they're being shoved, and then finally one guy drops the gloves, and the other guy, instead of dropping his gloves or even just protecting himself, just looks for the linesman to come in and then gets popped and he goes down. It happened. Max Domi did it to who did he get? He got Ekblad.
Yeah.
And then Lars Eller.
Ekblad's a big guy too. It's not
Yeah.
like you can't
And
just
why is
put your arm out and hold the guy there. Domi's not going to reach you. He's too small.
Ekblad's looking for the linesman. And then Lars Eller with Brad Marchand the year before, or the same year, I think it was. And then we saw it a couple times this year. It's why aren't guys protecting themselves? And I think it's because we're eliminating that element of the game, the self-policing that Gager talked about. Finally, the Winter Classic yesterday. Anybody catch it? Were you on the couch? Yeah.
I didn't watch too much of it. I did see the Walk of Shame. That was really funny, though. That was
Well, did you see what?
Yeah, the Perry thing. That was really, really funny.
It's a long walk.
Yeah.
Cass, you didn't like Perry, right? Was it you
Well,
that
playing
didn't like?
against it, I didn't.
Yeah.
I have no problem with him as an individual.
Right.
I mean,
But he's always been that guy.
yeah, which is great.
Sure.
I mean, you love it now. Play like a rat. Absolutely, go for it.
Well, it's the age of the rat now, I
Yeah.
guess, in the world of hockey, because we just talked about it. And no repercussions anymore.
There's
but
no one that you hated as a person too.
As a person, very few people.
Really?
you're a very kind,
They try
generous
to-
soul.
You know
Yeah.
what? It just rots your gut out, Gager. If you spend a lot of time feeling for people,
I know.
there's people I have to work at not being bitter towards for some things and angry towards.
Yeah.
but I still don't hate them.
I think I'm over it now. But what's it? Darcy Tucker?
Oh, really?
God,
He was always really nice to me. I liked
Was
him.
he?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's off the ice though. I never played against him on.
Yeah, no, he. I did not like him at all. God, and he was a good player too. That's what really was. But he was such an annoying mosquito out there, and just constantly talking and chippy. But then he was tough
He was
too.
good. He was a 30-goal scorer.
Yeah, I know. God, I just hated him. I always said if I had one free bullet, with him.
Pretty
But,
aggressive.
That was. But
he'd only shoot him in like the wrist or
Right,
something.
yeah.
or the
And
leg.
ankle,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
kneecap,
yeah.
He's really
Just
Stay
graze
away
him.
from the arteries. Great. That's a warning shot.
Yeah.
So our outdoor games in general, love them, hate them, indifferent now. Where are we at? Minnesota gets the next
too
Winter
many
Classic.
of them. I think if you did it once every 2 years,
Yeah.
like make it a more of a spectacle, that would be cool. And they're going to keep doing it and doing it often as long as people keep buying tickets.
They
Why
just
wouldn't
announced Minnesota's getting another one. Well, they had a Stadium Series game, which is still a thing because we're going to see it between Colorado and LA, wearing the two worst uniforms I have ever seen in my life at the National Hockey League level, like worse than Vancouver's V uniform.
You don't like the V uniform?
I didn't like the V. Have you seen the Avs? What they did?
No, I
It's
haven't
like a
seen.
big
yeah,
A.
yeah.
So it's just the opposite.
And
It's
then-
a reverse V.
Yeah, and then the Kings it's white on the bottom, black on top with LA in like ascending line, and that's it. Looks like a roller hockey jersey.
It's just stuff to make money. But
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of them. I think I'd go to it if it was here for sure. I was still playing
sure
in
they'll get
Germany
another
when they had the one here. It was such a spectacle, and it was so cold and stuff. I think it would be fun for fans. I'm sure Americans love it to be able to go to a big.
It's
huge,
an event.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a chance to get together and yell and scream, drink some beers.
But-
I'm up for that.
The Winnipeg Heritage Classic, I thought that was really well done. I didn't go to the one in Regina, but I've been to two. You were a part of
I was
one.
a part of one.
I was at that one.
Scratched, so.
No.
Yeah, but you took
Oh.
warm up.
I took warm up. I got warm up.
Yeah.
Where?
In Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
I was there
warm
for that one.
Yeah.
that sucks.
It was cold in BC Place. Like,
It wasn't bad. They opened it was raining the day before.
Yeah.
So they closed everything up, but then they opened it because it stopped raining for the day of.
it's funny what people bitch and complain about because they're complaining about the fake snow on the ground at BC Place. I was like,
Really?
I thought it looked nice. Like,
Yeah, like why are you worried about that? Like
cares?
why is this a concern?
yeah, all of the stuff that they put around the rink is fake. Yesterday they had a pig race, and they also had like a mini rodeo arena in there. And I like Dallas doesn't do anything small.
Texas,
obviously.
man.
God.
Oh, I love
I'm married
Texas.
to Texan. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Does she have any friends that like broadcasters?
I'll put the word out.
All right, cool. Like I look like I'm in my mid.
broadcaster / model.
Yeah. I'm in my mid-30s, but I look like I'm 21.
Just started off by saying huge wiener Gazzola.
Well, I mean, I don't throw it out there.
No, but Cass.
That's why he's the best producer, because he thinks of stuff like that. But yeah, no, Cass, if she's still got some single friends that are from Texas, God bless Texas, man. Because I lived in Oklahoma City during the lockout.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time in Texas, and Tommy
Especially with that handle.
Tommy like Texas.
That's right.
Quickly going to throw out the Popeyes poll question.
Okay.
Try Popeyes legendary Louisiana chicken today. Boys, which team outside the playoff picture today will turn around their season a la the St. Louis Blues from last year? I gave you Buffalo, Montreal, Chicago, or Nashville, or you can pick other. What do you guys have?
Boys, go ahead. Whoever's got it.
I'd have to go with. shoot. Chicago, I think.
That's bold.
It is bold.
Yeah, I've always liked Chicago. They get Kane, Tays, been there before, lots of experience. I don't know if Crawford. I haven't watched too many Chicago.
Well, and they've
games
been
too
using
much,
Leonard a lot.
Leonard
more
a
too.
lot and stuff. I follow him on Twitter, so he's always has some good stuff on Twitter. But
Yeah.
that'd be nice because I always liked that Robin Leonard, especially after he came out
Lenny's
with
a good
last
dude.
year. Yeah.
with all his issues and stuff. He's a good
You know what?
spokesman for the game.
He's a good dude.
Yeah?
Yeah. I always. We
Oh, yeah,
always
you
got
played
along.
with
Yeah,
him.
I played with him. Yeah, crazy eyes. Yeah.
Well, some of the stuff on the ice, even like his antics, where you're
he
like,
was- yeah.
wow, he's into
But
it.
You know what? But he talks about that now.
Yeah.
You know, with on the mental health side, where there were some issues, and we didn't. You kind of see him being with some of his frustration and the way he would react to things. Like
There's a
before-
fire there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got along great with him. I had a lot of laughs with that guy.
Yeah.
he's a really good dude. I really, really respect him, and I think he's actually like when he plays, he can play.
Right.
Yeah.
He can play, so he's really good.
Is Chicago then your pick too, or no?
I'm gonna go Nashville.
Okay.
If I'm looking at the quality of the team and I'm looking at which team do I think has the pieces there to string something together, I think Nashville does. If there's anyone that's not really in the playoff picture, that I'm surprised out of those teams, Buffalo a little bit, Chicago not as much, Montreal not as much, Nashville I'm just like, oh man,
Yeah.
they've struggled all year.
All the pieces are there
The
still.
pieces are there still, so I think if anything, then they're the guys to do it.
And then they lose Ellis yesterday. Definitely
Yeah.
big loss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
speaking
think
of
of that
Corey.
hit?
I don't see. That's the thing that's bothering me now, Gager. Is guys are clipping each other and it's catching guys like on the jaw and stuff, and that's the sweet spot for concussions. And
I don't think Perry was. It's a complete accident. I'm pretty sure. Like they slow it down so much that it kind of looks worse than it is. But you see Ellis kind of reaching and bending over, and there's no chicken wing really from Perry at the when I played, guys would be getting full forearm shivs to the side of the head,
right?
Especially with their, guys have to be under control when they throw hits, but I don't think there was any malice in that hit.
Let me ask you guys this in regard to that: when a guy, the game is so fast, obviously, but when you're committing to a hit and a guy is making a quick hockey play, like a shot on net, if you will, how hard is it to duck out of that commit to the hit? You can't.
You can't.
You're looking at me
You
like I'm an
committed to
idiot.
it. Well, you're not an idiot.
Well, I know, but but you guys played, so you guys can
I didn't
say,
hit
hey,
that
like,
much though.
you've mixed it up.
Because you think of all the things going on, like you can't. You have to plant your feet, like you can't charge. Plant
Right.
your feet. You're going full speed. You've dropped your shoulder. You're hopefully leading with your stick if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But it's like you've committed to body contact.
Yeah.
At that point, maybe on occasion you're able to bail. Maybe you can let up and throw on the brakes, but it's like even you think about your edge work if you're going full speed to be able to do that it's not easy.
Yeah.
And you're let's just go physics, the mental calculations that have to happen if you're moving one direction on an angle and the other guy's moving a different direction in an angle and he's shooting, so his body's in motion on top of that. Like there's so much that goes into it. It's not easy too. So I'm always hesitant to say like the head was targeted in a lot of these. Like on occasion, yeah, but sometimes it's like, well, he's going for the shoulder. The guy either moves or he just miscalculated going for it.
And there's a difference between the head being targeted and the point of contact, especially when you're not trying to target the head. And I think that's something that's a line that gets blurred from time to time. People don't think of that aspect of it. Hernan, do we have another? My team's Montreal, by the way. I think the Habs can get themselves back into the mix.
Let's get to Keep It or Clip It for episode 27, brought to you by Sports Clips Haircuts, where it's good to be a guy. First one, boys. Darnell Nurse has earned $6 million plus on his next contract.
Go ahead, boys.
I'm going to keep it because that's what the market price is. I think he was really good early on in the season. He's struggled, in my opinion, a little bit recently. But I think overall, when you look at what other guys are making that have similar stat lines, that play similar minutes, that do similar things, that's about the price you're going to pay. I wouldn't want to go too much over that, but I think he has, so I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, I don't want to keep it, but I think I have to. I haven't liked his game lately. I think he's a little bit behind plays. His thought process isn't as quick as it was. But there are just so many intangibles that go into his game that losing him, there's no replacing that type of player. There's a lot of other things that go into a contract that will definitely give him around that.
When you
money.
analyze that question with a fine-tooth comb,
Yes.
in this keep it or clip it segment, the word earned is where you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Did he earn it? Probably not. But as Maddie and Gage said, the market dictates what a guy like that and his potential is going to fetch him when it comes to free agency.
The Jake Gensel injury will push the Pens out of the playoffs.
Keep it. Yeah, that's too much to come back from. Crosby's what, another month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Core muscle, and then I think Bugstad, same injury, and Schultz is banged up again, I think.
That's too bad because they were battling hard and doing well. So unfortunately, I think I had them going into the playoffs this year, but I think that's
At the start of the season.
at the start. That's it for them.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I keep it. It's just too much.
Okay.
Too much to overcome.
Keep it. Habs are going to take that spot like I called.
All right, boys. Being in bed before midnight on New Year's Eve is lame.
You're lame.
I'm not saying I.
Who are you picking on here?
Good.
No, because I
know.
yes, I have a lot of friends, and now that some don't have kids or are still single and stuff, and they're in bed at 10. I was like, come on. I
Well,
get it if you have a family and you're running around all day and you're doing the festivals. I get it.
Were you
but
at a fiesta?
I was with my family.
Excellent. Well, I want the invite to one of those.
Oh, you
I'm
know.
not trying to force
guys,
it.
I forgot queso.
Oh,
I fridge at home. Yeah, it's ready to go for you guys. I
great.
actually, because I made some like for our when I was pushing the mini horse up.
Yeah.
The hill. That was
Were you
our
eating it from a
contribution.
trough when you pushed that?
and I had a bunch of leftovers. I'm like, I'm gonna take this in on Thursday, and I forgot it in the fridge at home. Sorry, guys.
That's okay, man. That's okay.
So
The-
we're
the
keeping
attempt
it
was there.
being in bed before midnight. You clearly were not in bed before midnight.
I could have been. So it all depends on the time when things start. But once the big rig gets going, it's
Oh, look
gotta
out,
wait till
baby.
it
I'm
slows
gonna
down.
clip it because people are allowed to make good life choices.
yes, that's true.
But that's the one day where it's the consensus across the world would be like, yeah, okay, you can, we'll give you the green light for another hour or two.
It's nice to with the family kiss the wife on New Year's.
But you can do that like an hour earlier or 2 hours earlier, and
You can celebrate on like they do out east 2 hours early.
Yeah,
like you could be like, well, it's 10 o'clock our time, but midnight Eastern, so Happy New Year.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I would clip that so fast. So fast.
Yeah, I clip it absolutely.
Clip it.
All right. Austin Matthews will finish with more goals than Pasternak. Pasternak currently at 29. Matthews is red hot at 27.
Clip it.
Ooh, you like
Clip
Pasternak?
it. I still like Pasternak on top of Austin Matthews, and that's just despite my Toronto friends.
Oof. Yeah, I'm gonna clip it too. I think once Pasternak and the Bruins get back on track here, he's gonna get close to. I think we said he could score 60, but
I didn't agree with that.
I didn't agree with it, but I think he's on. I think he'll get close to 50.
I'm going to keep it because when you're practicing with the Beebs, that's high-end talent.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Watch out. Beebs is going to get you. He's going to drive Matthews to just having an outstanding offensive outburst goal-wise.
January is the worst month of the year.
No, I'm gonna go March. Clip
Really?
it. Like March, because it's just
Is that because of the weather?
yeah. It's like
Yeah,
it's
it
that
could
muddy,
be like-
Yeah.
not quite summer,
Yeah.
not quite spring.
You still get like one of those late snowfalls.
Yeah, it's still gross outside. January, like you have the new year. I don't know. I think January is better than March.
Yeah, clip it. I think it's not that bad. Things start getting a little bit lighter. Usually we get a. Usually by the end, we have a few days that are plus and stuff, and the sun comes out.
I hope you're right.
And we think it's gonna be it's spring, and I would definitely not January clip it.
I'm going to keep it because two things, boys. I can't stand the cold, and I know I'm from here, and I shouldn't be saying that, but I can't stand it. And the potential, I'm not saying it's going to happen because our resident weatherman just said we're going to get a couple of nice days this month, thank God. But the potential for like the minus 30 with the wind chill at minus 50 is there, and that scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep it.
All right.
Screw you, January.
You guys kind of touched on this earlier, but Winter Classic games need to go away.
Oh, clip it. They're good. They're good for the game. People go to them still.
Yeah.
It's an event. I mean, it's just gonna, especially in some of those markets in the U.S. I think it helps promote the game a little bit. I mean, for a player, I think they're a lot of fun to play in. Just to being outside and being part of something special like that.
Well, the next one, because there's going to probably be another one here at some point soon. You're probably going to be in net for the Alumni game.
Ooh. No, I tried the Winnipeg game, but that wasn't happening.
Really?
Yeah, no.
What happened?
I was like 6th on the list, I think, something like that.
Well,
well.
Cujo didn't have a great game.
No, it was good to see Billy Ranford, though.
I know.
He was doing stacking the pads.
He took morning skate with the Kings when they were here. I put up a picture, it just blew up.
Yeah.
And he gave funny story. They were shooting on his glove. A few guys were burning him, but he actually made this one classic circus glove
Billy.
save. And you know what, Gager? He still plays like the
Same
old
way.
style. Yeah,
I
glove
know.
down low and
Yeah.
everything. And after he made that one, the drill was done. He skated. He looked at me. I was sitting with John Shannon, and he just gave us the middle finger.
Billy was great, man. What a
I
talent
had
he
him
was.
as goalie. He was a goalie coach when I was in junior.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was awesome.
He's a super nice
Awesome
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Cass, keep or clip the Winter Classic game?
I'm going to keep it because I do think it grows the game. I do wish, for me personally, I could go for one every 2 years because it would make it more exciting for me. But I understand in the U.S. markets and different cities wanting to have them. So I'm going to say keep it, although it's I only really want to actually watch one every 2 years.
Right. Keep the Winter Classics / Heritage Classics. Clip the Stadium Series.
There you go.
We don't need those
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
Okay, last one, boys. More coaches should call out the league and officials for missed calls.
Keep it.
Keep it, absolutely.
Keep that.
Because
Yeah.
what was the fine? 20?
20 grand.
20
It's
grand.
expensive.
And there's a GoFundMe page started for Torts. Seriously.
What's it at?
I think I saw yesterday, and it was just over $2,000.
Well, they'll get to 10 or whatever, and he'll donate it to some charity, and something good will come out of it.
Yeah.
But I love when the honesty comes out, and he's one of the few guys that actually is not afraid to, and I don't mind it. Most times I'm like, all right, man, Torts, enough. Stop fighting with media. I know you hate Larry Brooks, whatever, but that was one of them, again, where I'm like, wow.
I don't think it was that bad, though.
Because it was the truth.
It was the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't horrible.
No.
He basically was stating facts.
Right.
Can you not state facts? I disagree with the call. If they had the 1.1 seconds, my goalie wouldn't have been hurt. We would have won the hockey game. That's true. We talked with them about it. They didn't communicate well back with us. We didn't get an explanation.
Right.
I don't know what they're thinking. That's to me. He obviously used a few more.
Well,
words, but-
some choice words, absolutely. But the league is still, that's where the problem is, I think, with these league officials. And it's not just the NHL, it's the other leagues too, but they're so scared and afraid to be called out on stuff that they're like, oh, you can't say that. How dare you say something like that about us? We're the league.
Yeah, no, I everything he said was, I don't think he went that overboard for Torts,
Yeah.
Usually there's a lot more expletives. I mean, they bleeped out what? I don't know what.
I think he said GD.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna use it. Yeah.
That's not that bad. I think the GoFundMe page is good.
I like that.
Guys,
it's funny.
before we wrap up, any names, suggestions for the episode? Episode 27, by the way, we have Two Guys and a Goalie presented by Odd Shark. Anything stand out for you guys today?
Tommy liked Texas.
Tommy liked Texas.
I like that.
Yeah. And,
I like that.
talk to your wife, Cass. He's got any friends back home. Tommy won a green card, too.
Perfect.
That does it for Two Guys and a Goalie, or as Cass called, one goalie, one guy, and one model.
Yeah.
Cass is the
that
model.
That might be the name of the show.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. That's good.
For Gager and Cass, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thanks for tuning in. Big Daddy Davos is back, and for Hernan Salas, by the way, next episode. Take care, everyone.